Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is introduce you to the basics of Fieldmagic. Okay, so the search functions, the navigation, all that sort of thing. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have all of our navigation, and the navigation is grouped into functional areas, and I'll cover what each of those means and what it is in each area. We can expand or contract that by clicking on the three bars, the hamburger symbol at the top left. Our global search is really probably the most common way that you'll use to find items. Okay, in here I can put in a name, a job number, a quote number, anything, and it will find the record. Okay, and I can go and view that record. So I've just found a contact. I can also specify which module I'm actually searching in. Okay, and that will specifically find search for people in that module. Okay, we also have a module specific search. So if we go into our contacts, there's a couple of ways we can search. The first thing we can do is we can just type in anything into the search bar. That would use the same approach as the full text search. Okay. In this case, it's finding two records, one because it is my name, and two because the other one has an email address with that string in it. So that's why it's finding that. Okay. This is very flexible, nice, quick, easy way to do it. It works across every single module. However, oftentimes we want to do a more sophisticated search. So for example, if we were in our jobs module and we wanted to find, so by default, we're going to see my open jobs when we go to our jobs module. We have a number of standard filters. So jobs awaiting invoicing, for example, and that will update our advanced filter here. Let's say I wanted to find, let's say I didn't have those standard filters, or I was looking for something specific that wasn't available in the standard filters. I can actually search by typing the field name, in this case status, and I could say, okay, I want all pending jobs. Okay, and I might even want to filter by something else where I might say substatus is some other value. Okay, now that will search to find records that match that criteria. Okay, within each field, the available options within that field depend on the type of field. So if it's a number field, we've got greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and so on. If it's a Boolean field, a true or false, we've got yes or no, or we can just have a text field. We can also combine full text with the filters there. If I want to then save that filter, because obviously we don't want to have to recreate these filters all of the time, I can actually go and hit the save icon on the right hand side, and I can save this as all pending jobs. I can share that with all users, and that filter, if I was to clear it, I can now go back to it nice and easily because it will be sitting there as all pending jobs, and everyone will be able to see that same filter because I've shared it with everyone. Okay, so that's the basics of how we search and find records. I also want to just highlight, so let's say my open jobs, I go to that. Let's say I want to work through and review each of those 4 jobs. Okay, I can click on the first of those jobs and you'll see that I have navigation across the top there. So I can actually go and navigate through all of the records one at a time in order, okay, based on the most recent, or based on the original search that I did in that list view. So you can see I've hit the last record there, so the navigation is no longer there. So if I go back to that now, I can see the full list there. I can also adjust how things are sorted, so I can sort it in reverse order based on when they were created. I can sort it by any, not any field, but a whole range of fields. I can search by absolutely any field though, so really, really powerful search, including custom fields. Okay. The last thing I want to cover in the introduction is the navigation. Okay, so I've kind of touched on navigating around the system using the menu. that is going to be a key thing for you to get around. Okay, so under contacts, we have all of our core CRM or customer relationship management components. Our leads, and a lead is say, an inquiry off our website, something that hasn't yet been qualified. It's kind of a bucket of potential customer or contact data that we want to review before it becomes that. Okay, we have our customers, our sites or locations. So, for example, one customer might have 10 different locations that we service. We want to track all of those locations, the jobs that occur at those locations, and also the assets or pieces of equipment that are stored at those locations. So that is our sites. Our suppliers, obviously, those are people or organizations we purchase from. Then our contacts are our individual contacts. A contact can have a role at one or zero or more customers, sites, customers or sites. Okay, and a customer includes suppliers. So a customer and a supplier are actually the same record type. It's just the only difference is that there's a flag on there that indicates whether they're a customer or a supplier. Okay, within our job management, we have our jobs list. We have our recurring jobs. So this is where we configure our jobs that recur weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, whatever they happen to be. Our job checklist. So if we have standardized processes that we want to define and have them attached to jobs so that our technicians can follow those processes step by step and do things like mark something as pass or fail, record a value, a text value, a drop down, a true, false, whatever the case happens to be, and take photos. That's something that we can do in checklists. Our job scheduler, obviously that's a huge part of things where we can schedule all of our tasks against the individuals there. We'll drill into each of these areas in more detail. And then we have our job template. So where we can, or job and project templates. So where we can define structures of jobs that we want to be able to quickly drop into a new job, we can define those in there. Okay. Then we have our quotes. These are relatively simple. So again, quotes, quote checklists, and quote templates, similar to jobs. In addition to the main menu, we also have the create job and the create quote wizard. Okay. Now I want to bring those up because those allow us to very quickly create everything we need to create a quote or create a job. Okay. So we'll cover that in another video. But that's a really, really useful wizard. Okay. We have our screens for generating our scheduled jobs or invoices. Okay. So we're able to review those scheduled jobs before they're generated. Our assets are a key part of the system. Okay, so if you manage regular servicing of equipment or what we call assets in the field, this is where that is managed. So we define the asset types where we can define the custom attributes for each attribute type, as well as how often those asset types are serviced and what the checklists are, what the inspection checklists are for each of those asset types according to the standard that we are working against. Okay, the product catalog, very quite, it's become quite a sophisticated part of the system. So we have our products, our price books, which is customer specific pricing. We also have supplier pricing, but that is more against the supplier, so it doesn't appear here. We have our warehouses to track our multi-location inventory and, of course, our inventory levels. Okay, we also have our nice little tools for doing stock takes, our reorder wizard for quickly reordering stock based on minimum stock levels at each warehouse location, and then, of course, our import wizards, which we'll cover in a different video. Okay. Finally, we have our financials, so our customer invoices, recurring customer invoices, purchase orders, and supplier invoices. In terms of our accounting integrations, it's the customer invoices and supplier invoices that get sent to the accounting system. We don't generally sync the purchase orders unless we're doing a custom integration, but for all our standard integrations, that's the integration point. Okay, and then finally we have our user management. We have users and subcontractors. The main difference between them is that a subcontractor doesn't have access to the mobile app. They can't log time or log materials or anything like that. you can assign tasks to them and they will get an email notification. They can respond to that email notification and any responses will be captured against the task or the job. So it's useful for people that occasionally do work for you. You don't have to pay a license for subcontractors, which is really useful. Obviously, you get a lot more capability with users, timesheets, full tracking, all that sort of stuff, profitability analysis, and so on. Teams are when we have groups of users that work together in a team. Let's say we want to assign a job to that team and we don't want to have to individually assign that job to those individuals. We can assign it to the team. It's also useful when, say, you have a north team and a south team, and you want and who's in each team might change day to day. You want to be able to schedule ahead of time. So you assign it to the team and then the individuals know which team they're in so they can simply access the task for their particular team for that day. Really useful for that. We then have our dashboards. So these are our standard dashboards which come in to the system. This is available to anyone. So this is our sales dashboard, our job management dashboard, our asset dashboard. So how many assets have we tested? How many have failed? Things like that. Bit of a job analysis and a sales analysis. So we have different elements there and we can filter by department. And we have some, obviously the ability to give you access to a data warehouse. So we put all of the data, all of the data into Google BigQuery, and we can give you access to that. And most customers do have access to that. Advanced Reports is something that is coming shortly, but it is an embedded business intelligence platform with full drill down capability for our enterprise customers. You also get that via the data warehouse. So there's multiple options there for reporting and analytics. The last part here across the top here, we've got our job scheduler. We've seen that already. We have any notifications that have been generated in the system, access to any tasks that are assigned. Okay, just a straight list view rather than a schedule. And then under our user profile, we have our ability to log out and also access our administrator settings. And this is obviously quite deep in the administrator area, and we'll cover those elements off in different areas within the system. The most common screens you're going to access though are your lists with your searching and obviously your job scheduler up the top there. That's why we put it up the top. Finally, our help and support. So if you ever need or have a question, you can send a message to us and we will respond. One of our team will actually respond. So we get those in real time and we'll respond if we're around. Otherwise, the next business day, actually we don't just work business hours. We've got people spread across different time zones. So the next available person will respond to that. Okay. All right. So hopefully that's a good introduction into the basics of the platform and how to make your way around Fieldmagic.